Let's not base our decision making or our positions that we're in based off of our own decisions only. Because everyone's got the ability to choose how they treat us, how they deal with us, how they accept our goodness and our badness, how they respond to us when we're stupid. It makes a big part of what our end results are.
Welcome to the I Am Wiser podcast, where the biggest questions in healthcare and wellness meet the collective wisdom of industry leaders and innovators. I'm Dr. Laura Purdy, and here we explore the intersections of AI, care delivery, telehealth policy, and more through the lens of those who are reshaping healthcare. This is not just about theory, it's about lived experience and real industry insights. Let's dive in and get wiser together. Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the I Am Wiser podcast with Dr. Laura Purdy, where I explore the real stories behind groundbreaking innovations in the business landscape and the profound impact they have on people. On that note, I am delighted to welcome Mr. Todd Westra, the CEO of Growth Readiness and host of the Growth and Scaling podcast, which I was on a couple years ago. Todd has dedicated his career to helping leaders of mid-sized companies, so that's me, realign their strategy, leadership, and execution to become truly growth ready. His growth readiness framework has empowered hundreds of executives to break through stagnation, rediscover alignment, and lead their organizations into the next stage of sustainable success. Welcome, Todd.
Well, thank you. It's so good to see you again.
Likewise. So, the last time we met was when I was on your show in 2023. It's been almost 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot has changed and happened in the world of Todd over the last few years. So tell us, where are you at? What's going on? How has your life evolved in these last couple years?
All right. So last couple years have been super interesting for me. I have been on this journey where COVID, my business got completely wiped out. And I didn't share this with you when I was doing our interview, but I literally was transitioning because I went through a 1 week stage in 2020 where I lost about $4.5 million of revenue. And it was like a kick in the pants. And, I heard all over the place, people were just booming during COVID. And here I was like, freak, I got to sell my house. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I started interviewing CEOs, and I literally, our podcast was me interviewing you as a CEO because I was captured. It was almost like a therapy session that I didn't know I needed. And what ended up happening is I had these awesome guests coming on saying, hey, this is what I loved about growing my business. This is what I love about, this is my biggest challenge. And this is what I'm going to do to change it. And this is what I recommend other people do with my problem. And I was like, okay. Yeah. Oh, I've had that. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's my problem too.
Yeah.
And I just discovered that we're all kind of in this weird world of entrepreneurship where we think we're the only ones going through certain problems. And the reality is that we're one of many, as opposed to just being these lost on my own island and nobody knows what I'm going through type things. And so as I had these conversations in these interviews, I turned the podcast off. And I was like, all right, I got to make money. Got to feed my kids. I got 7 kids. I'm like, they're not going to get fed without me. And so I actually started diving into more like agency work. I started doing content production for some people. And I kind of loved my podcast. I was like, man, how can I make money just doing podcasts all day? And I didn't figure that part out. Side note, I interviewed 60 podcast hosts and said, how are you making money? And only 3 of them were making money on their podcasts. So I was like, okay, that's not my moneymaker, but it is a fun fulfillment thing. And so I turned off the show. I came back to reality and I started building content for other people. And that was a fun business. Well, of those people, I started getting asked to come in and do their marketing. And I was like, well, yeah, So I started this fractional CMO thing. And I started being this fractional CMO. Well, while I'm doing that, I'm going into these businesses and I was kind of targeting, like an 8 to 15 million. It was kind of that was my minimum viable person I'd do work for. Cause otherwise they're still launching, right?
Yeah.
I'm not there to launch business. I'm here to like grow businesses. And so
Yeah, right.
I go into these companies and I'm literally thinking, okay, dude, I've heard that one before. Like they're all looking at each other, these partners, and they're all like, okay, well, we're going to sell this business in 3 years. And then the other
3 to
one's
5
like,
years.
yeah, yeah. And then the other one's like, no, we're going to go raise some capital. We're going to buy all of our competitors. And then the other one's like, no, dude, I've like got this awesome gig going and I just want to have my kids come work with me. They're teenagers. And I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, this is the most bizarro world I've ever jumped into where every set of leadership teams were so diverse in their thinking of where the business is going that no matter what cool marketing strategy I was bringing to them, it wasn't going to land because those are all different strategies. Like raising money is a different strategy than exiting, and trying to hide your revenue and tax deductions is a whole different thing than trying to show got this massive EBITDA, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I'm like my head's spinning, and I took on 3 fractional CMO roles. All 3 had the exact same condition. And you're a doctor. I'm looking at these
Yeah.
companies, these entities going, dude, do you realize that you're all over the place and you're no matter how cool your sales director is and no matter how cool your product guy is, no marketing strategy is going to encapsulate what you're trying to do unless we fix that problem first, right? And so I started thinking about my podcast, and I said, I need to kick the podcast back on because I need more case studies. And so I literally turned my show back on and I started asking better questions, and I started like diving deeper, like, hey, if there were 2 things you could tag to your latest growth or your biggest growth, what are those 2 things? And the conversations got much more interesting and they got a little more exciting. And I started kind of capturing this stuff and I started building a framework. And I was like, I think I've got this growth thing dialed in because everyone's got the same problems. And I think I can solve it. So I tried doing it in a workshop format, and that was kind of fun, but it was hard. And then I started doing some one-on-ones, and I actually took on another 3 or 4 fractional CMO roles, and those taught me the same lesson, but I was actually able to fix it better. And I was able to find that alignment. And so, Laura, like here I am launching this cool product called Growth Readiness. And my whole question I ask everyone is like, literally, like, if you had the wish of your heart, if an investor came in today and said, you know what, Laura, you're doing such an awesome job with your business. How much money do you need to take it to the next level? Just name your number and I'm going to give it to you. And if I give it to you, what are you actually going to, like, Laura, if I gave you $10 million today and you said, Todd, I need $10 million to do this cool thing that I think I could do really cool, and I gave it to you, would you actually deploy it? Or would you just be like, oh crap, I got to figure out how I'm going to do this? Right?
Oh, I would be terrified.
Right.
I would go, ah.
Totally. So that's where I keep running into this thing of like, are you growth ready? And people just kind of chuckle, oh, that's cute. No, like really, like, are you? Like,
Are you?
Are you? And so that's the game, Laura. It's been fun. It's been so fun.
Wow. That's exciting. So it has been weird. You've had some devastation. You've had some loss. You've had some struggle. You've had some wisdom. And look at this big smile that you still have on your face, despite all of that.
Regardless, my wife still loves me. My kids think I'm pretty cool. And, I don't know.
What more could you want, right? What more could you want? So one thing that I heard you say, which points me in the direction of wisdom, is you learned how to ask better questions. And that's pretty cool. I do a lot of consulting. I still do a lot of work in telehealth with small businesses, non-physician owned businesses. And I know what you mean when you say you learn how to ask better questions.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the wisdom behind learning how to ask better questions. What's on the other side of that?
Well, as you know, as we get older, it's like, people expect you to know more. I've had in the last, since 2018, I've had, 4 kids now move out of the house. And, some of them are out earning, the last few years of mine. And I'm like,
Wow.
okay, you're cool. That's really awesome. And I started kind of reflecting on, like, I turned 50 this year, and as I turned 50, I was like, holy crap, man, where am I? Like, what have I learned? And I think that this whole transition to turning 50 has been the weirdest year of my life. And as I kind of came out of that, Laura, it became a game of like, I've done some really amazing things in my life. I've had $100 million years. I've had, multi-million dollar losses. I've had, like, all these kids. I've had kids get married. I'm the grandfather to a grandpuppy. I mean, who could want more there? But like, all those little things have led me to think, if I'm not asking the right questions, how can I impart the wisdom to my kids? And I've come to also recognize people that ask me really good questions, I appreciate it more. And I never did before. I was always like, well, why do you want to know? And now it's like, they probably actually want to know something deeper than that question, right? And that's where
There's
I think
something
this
behind
whole
it.
I Am Wiser show that you're doing is so inspirational. I think that as we age and as we learn, we kind of want to deflect that to the next set of people coming into where we've been. And it's like, how do I help them not make idiot decisions that I did?
I've made
'Cause
so
we're all
many idiot
idiots.
decisions. But I would rather people learn from me, from you,
Right.
from us. I tell people, don't be like me. Learn
Yes.
from me. Please don't be like me. It's exhausting, and you have to get a lot of lawyers to help clean up your missteps, or you're overly trusting of people who
Yes.
then exploit you or try to. Don't be like me. Learn from me. And that's why we're here, right? Because someday
Yes.
my kids, my grandkids are gonna go find this podcast somewhere, and they're gonna be like, oh, Liz, Grandma's talking to that guy Todd about all these CEOs and the fact that none of them knew what they were doing, and maybe I'm going to be a CEO and do better.
Right? No, it's fascinating. It's fascinating, and I just feel like, if there's one thing that's changed since the last time you and I talked is, I felt like even at that time, even though I was nearing 50, I wasn't there yet. And it was something in the year of being 49 that just, like, I started reflecting, holy crap. Like, I remember people turning 50 and thinking, oh my gosh,
They're so
how are they
old.
moving still, and now that I'm there, I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I help my kids? I saw my oldest, this summer getting a little dad bod going. I'm like, be careful. Those don't go away as fast as you think, and he's like, whatever, Dad, but it's like, you kind of just want to teach those lessons of these are some of the biggest mistakes I've made. Don't do that. If you want to have a happier life, avoid these ones, because those ones suck. These ones are okay. Like, it's okay to learn by beating your head against the wall sometimes to start a business. But it's
Avoid
not
these
okay
those ones
to
suck.
trust someone with all your assets. And you know what I mean? Like, that's not good.
Never, ever. They'll shut down your whole domain and take away your nickname and make you have to rebrand your entire company. And that's why we don't say America's favorite doctor anymore.
Wow, it sounds like a personal. I just tapped a little vein there.
And that might be someone that you were personally family friends with, who later tries to sue you for breach of contract and is really going to wish they didn't do that.
Whoa, hypothetically speaking, that sounds horrible.
I'm just saying that in a world,
is a crazy thing. Holy crap, Laura. That's not very
life
cool.
happens. Life happens. We get wiser. Always have a good lawyer, or two, or three,
lawyers
or four.
are good. Lawyers are good. I would say one of the better decisions that I made, probably about a dozen years ago or so, maybe 15 years ago, I started an agency, an offshore agency, doing a lot of marketing work, both telemarketing as well as, tons and hundreds of offer pages and all that kind of stuff. And it was a really fun business, but operating offshore, I was like, dude, I got to cover my, I got to cross my T's, dot my I's, make
Yes,
sure I'm
you
not going to
do.
get, like, investigated by the government or, something stupid like
Right.
that. And
Yeah.
so I literally hired an in-house attorney. Smartest move I ever made. And
Love
he
that.
protected me from so many lawsuits that I think I would have had otherwise.
Yes.
I am wiser because I did that.
And you know what? To all of you out there listening to this going, oh no, what do I do? How do I not get sued? Like, you might still get sued. Getting sued, it happens,
It happens.
but it can be absolutely minimized. It doesn't have to go farther than that first response. Know the laws of the state in which you live. It's actually pretty hard to serve someone in Florida because they
Yeah.
have to serve you or an adult that lives in your house. But
Right.
it's okay, right? Have a good lawyer. Everything's going to be fine.
They're
And
not all
don't do
evil.
illegal things. No, my lawyers are my biggest assets right now.
Okay. Here's another lesson, Laura. Dr. Laura.
I'm ready.
Sorry.
I'm
Sorry,
ready.
I keep forgetting the title. Okay. So Dr. Laura, I and this is kind of a sad thing. And I'll just say it, so one of my partners from the 20 teens, early 20 teens, he I was kind of the conscience of our operations. We were doing a lot of online offers, and with online offers, you can do a lot of shady stuff. And
Yes.
and I was always like, that's going to cause problems. That's going to cause. And I had my attorney that was telling us, don't do that. That's going to get us all in trouble. And literally one day, the FTC came in and shut him down. And like, I'm not even kidding. Like, FTC, which, by the way, hopefully they don't hunt me for saying this, but they are an interesting organization. And they hunted this guy down from
We
a
love
previous
you,
business that he
FTC.
had.
No offense. We love
Yeah.
you, but
Yeah. I am wiser because I avoid FTC.
there you go. There it is.
Right. And he had done something prior to our business relationship that they were like keeping their eye on him type of a thing. And we literally launched an offer that did $100 million in 6 months. And it was an amazing weight loss pill. And it was just like, whoa, we rode this wave with Dr. Oz. And it was like phenomenal. Yep. Like, we were just all just counting money and just like, yeah. And it was the coolest offer. Well, FTC comes in and literally froze all assets, all of it. I had like $1 million+ in invoices I still need to get paid. Like, it was just stuff all over the place. And I was like, okay, I've got 400 employees that I need to go manage and take care of while we sort this out. Can you release some funds to me as a vendor? And they're like, yeah, tell us what you know. And anyway, yeah.
Sure,
So
we can do
I walked
that.
the FTC through the whole operation of what we were doing. And they're like, yeah, that sounds legit, but we need to investigate. So it turned into a 4-year legal battle, and it was a joke. And anyway, we continued to do some work together while that was all happening. And then finally I was just like, I'm out. I'm going to go do something different. And so I left in 2018. Well, a year and a half ago, I see pop up on my news feed, this big arrest in Utah that they had found these, this ring of illegal, whatever, money laundering kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh no, let me see what it is. So I look, and sure enough, it's my old partner. Well, Laura, this good friend of mine, like, was so determined not to go to jail that he took his life this summer. And just a month before they were going to read the verdict of whatever they did, and I wasn't involved in any of it, just, I'm clean. But literally, business can cause so much stress and burden. Just do it the right way. And that's where I remember meeting with him in like 2020, and I was like, dude, you don't have to do offers the way that you've been doing them. You can do offers very clean. You can do it the right way and do it legally. You've already been investigated by the FTC. I'm sure you're on a radar somewhere. Yeah. Don't do stupid things. And literally it just turned into stupidity. Yes. And so that's where I really just feel like you've got to like dial into stop. I am wiser because I don't do illegal things. I am wiser because I don't even get close to that edge of doing illegal things. And that's one thing that as this 50-year-old guy who's done nothing but entrepreneurialism my whole life, don't do stupid stuff. Like, be careful who you do business with. And don't just assume that everyone has your best interest in mind, because there's a good chance that they could just take your entire brand away from you, right? And you're screwed.
It happens. It happens. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I've learned over the last few years, because I've been the victim of federal identity theft multiple times. Actually, the first time that I found out that I was a victim of federal identity theft was like a year before I met you. We're talking years this stuff's been going on,
Oh my
because
gosh.
doctors' NPI numbers are public and anyone can find them. And if you're multi-state licensed, which I was and still am, you can become a target.
Holy
And
cow.
it is always, but I hear you when you say, don't do stupid stuff. Know what the laws are and
Yeah.
know how to follow them. Because if there's one thing I've learned, and I'll tell you how I'm wiser, if people do crimes as you cannot be held responsible for someone else doing something wrong with your information, with your name, with your likeness, with your image, with your company, with your brand. If you are doing the right thing, then you're doing the right thing and you don't have to worry about getting in trouble. In fact, you can help. You can help those. I just found out about a new one yesterday. There's like 5 or 6 lab companies in California that have been doing COVID tests and billing it to Medi-Cal under my NPI number. And I have never once in my entire life ordered a COVID test for insurance. You can go buy them at
Oh my
Walgreens
gosh.
if you want to.
Oh my gosh.
Know
Yeah.
the laws, know how to follow them, know not to break them, and you'll be
just
okay.
avoid any sign of stupidity if you can help it.
You know what? I had another one just, I would say last month. I got a pitch from a staffing agency and they said, oh, we're looking for a client. They're going to pay you $10,000 a month, which that's a red flag. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. We're looking for a doctor who will sign off on all of these assessments done by the nurse practitioner, and then they're going to bill health insurance under your name as the doctor. And I wrote them back and I said, that is illegal. And if I were you, I CC'd my attorney. First thing I did was I CC'd my attorney. And I said, that is illegal. If I were you, I would recommend disassociating yourself from that client right away, getting your own legal counsel, and understanding that the things that you are propositioning me to do are federal crimes. Goodbye.
Amen.
I never heard from them again.
Yeah, I would think not.
No, never heard from them again. So
What a mess. Yeah, no. So
can be.
In other words, like, you're learning things, I'm learning things. The big question mark, though, is how do you get that generation to actually listen and appreciate these experiences? Because a lot of them just feel like I'm different. I'm going to learn this on my own.
Well, this is what I will tell you. I know that my own children who live in my house, every single time, every single day that something like this happens, I tell them.
Ooh.
I just told him yesterday,
That's
I'm
good.
on the phone with the regulator. Somebody's committing fraud. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not embarrassed about it. When I got regulated, so I did get regulated in 2023. I don't know if we talked about it, but I was in the process of getting regulated that year. In May of 2023, there was there was a dispute in Mississippi over whether you could do a video chat or a text-based chat to establish doctor-patient relationship for cash pay. I know, it sounds so ridiculous. But in most of the states in the United States, you can do a chat-based visit, and in single digit, less than 10, they mandate you to do video for cash pay. And my lawyer will still say that if you interpret the law most strictly as the way it was written, we should have been able to do video, we should have been able to do chat. So they brought me to administrative court. I was like throwing up in the bathroom. I was just a wreck. I was beside myself.
Oh,
They
man.
raked me over the coals for 2.5 hours. They thanked me for my service, of course, because they're all patriots. And then they disciplined me. And then they waited 32 days to sanction me so that by the time I got sanctioned, I would be outside of the reporting timelines for all of the rest of the states in the country. No, I promise you, this happened in 2023. And so one of the things that I have done when it comes to kind of sharing with the next generation, I am very verbal about what has happened. I released a press release saying this is what happened. I tell everybody that I can about it. I'm actually going to be filming a 5-part course in a couple months. I'm filming a course for doctors. Okay, so you get reported to the medical board falsely, unfairly. People are coming after you. Your name is getting slandered. What do you do? And I hope that I hope that by bringing these dialogues out into the
Yeah.
open and letting people know this can happen to anybody, and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because you get in trouble doesn't necessarily mean that you are in trouble, and it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you, because sometimes
Right.
people do get targeted. So I hope that
Well,
talking about it helps.
and the same thing goes with business ownership. I have had since my recovery of COVID, in my business growth, I've had so many weird experiences with clients who felt like, they didn't pay me anymore, and so they just didn't. And like very serious things where I'm out cost of employees and teams and all this stuff. And then they're like, yeah, I decided not to go that path. And it's like, well, we did all the work, and it's not my fault you guys don't know where you're going, and this leads back to my
Right.
new solution set, right? But my
Yes.
kids, I've been very open with my kids about, okay, so what do contracts mean? Does it mean you're safe and
Yeah.
protected?
No,
No,
they do
no.
not.
It means pick your pick your clients better. Pick your
Yes.
employer better. Pick
Yes.
people who you can trust. And unfortunately, I tend to get pretty excited by cool opportunities and hey, this could be a multi-billion-dollar thing. I'm in, and you get signed up and you're over there helping them, and all of a sudden you're out. And your contract doesn't really mean anything sometimes.
Off
And
you go.
so there's a lot of stuff to it that so much of the wisdom that I'm trying to impart to my kids, like you, in telling other doctors and your kids about, like, this just happened. I would say, as a parent, don't be afraid to tell your kids what is happening, because they got to know why their ski pass isn't showing up in time for the ski season, right? Like, I just got hosed about 300 grand last month, and I really can't recover in 1 month,
Yeah.
so
Right.
let's move on to the next thing, so
On we go.
it, those kind of things happen. And I think that, to your point, we all become wiser when we
Yes.
don't try to hide those things that we're ashamed of, and we just talk about it and say, holy crap, what would you do? I mean, I know the seventh grade locker hallway is a little bit stressful, but like, imagine where I'm at. What do you think I should do? You know?
I agree
Anyway,
completely. Let's pause 1 second. I think the computer got unplugged. I can see that it's gonna die. Sharon, can you hear me? I don't know if Sharon's there.
Sharon's
We're just
hiding.
running. Sharon, if you can hear me, we're just running a little bit behind. I'm sorry about that. I would say less than 10 minutes. No problem.
Sorry,
Thank you.
Sharon. I had a medical emergency.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
I can say that, right? I had a medical emergency.
Yeah, whatever you want to say. That's your medical emergency that you had. So, okay. So we got it plugged in. Okay, perfect. I just didn't want the computer to die. So diving back in, I agree with you. And I think one of the ways that I am wiser is I've learned how to redefine and to reconsider what does embarrass me or what does shame
For
me.
sure.
Because if you're in business, if you're in healthcare, and
Yeah.
if you're in the media, you will become a target in any one of those things. You are a
Right.
target. The more money you make, the more visibility you have, the higher up in the
Food
hierarchy
chain.
of the chain of command, the food chain, the higher up you
Yeah.
are in the food chain, the more eyes there are looking at you, the more
Yeah.
opinions there are in your direction, and the less people you have at the same level as you to kind of have your back, right? And I've
100%.
really had to. I've been defamed. I've been attempted to be blackmailed. I've been attempted to be extorted. I've had my identity stolen so many times. I've been betrayed. I've one time I actually thought I had been poisoned, if you can believe that. I mean,
What?
yeah, it's been wild. I've had patient lists stolen. I've been like publicly defamed,
Holy
privately
cow.
defamed. My husband's been defamed to his boss by people who worked for me, which is crazy, right? And what I've learned is that I have had to, first of all, be humble and to not have an ego about these things at all. There's really
Yeah.
no room for ego, and you have to be humble and understand that these things don't have to be
Yeah.
embarrassing. They are common things that happen to
Yeah.
people in these types of circles. And redefining the way I think about shame,
Yeah.
embarrassment, and honesty, authenticity, and transparency, I
Yep.
think can help inspire and motivate people not to make these same mistakes.
Right, right. Well, you bring up a point that I think will kind of connect all the dots of what we've been talking about, and that is, when I do a lot of family history research. I find it super fascinating. I've got like most Americans, I'm like a quarter Dutch, a quarter German, and then like half a bunch of stuff, you know.
Sure.
And so I think it's really cool to kind of connect there's this family picture of my great grandma, actually of my grandma. She was about 3 years old, with her mother, grandmother, and great grandmother in South Africa. And I love this picture. I've always loved the picture. Well, I just discovered 2 years ago, I was reading in a journal of one of my great great uncles or something like that. And he was talking about the death of the husband of my great great grandfather. And apparently, never knowing, yeah, I just always look at these pictures of black and white. They look so cute and they're probably the nicest people, right? Well, her husband was a drunk and he was abusive and he would beat
Oh,
her and all this stuff. And
yeah.
and she was across the street when there was a house fire in their house and she didn't go rescue him because she saw a better life. And
Oh,
and I was just like,
well,
whoa, that was
okay.
a secret. That was a secret that you would never know.
Yeah.
Moving to
Well,
today, moving to today, we are in a day of social media. We are in a day of kids learning things that you and I didn't learn until we were much, much older. And they're seeing these things happening. And I think that like our generation, we have to do a better job of being transparent and saying, life sucks. One of my kids was so mad about not being able to go to a sleepover. And I'm like, yeah, none of your 6 siblings have done sleepovers because there's a reason. And let me just tell
yeah.
you why it's not so stupid. And you'll probably
Yeah.
thank me later. And so it's like, we have to be transparent as to why we make certain decisions we make and why we do certain things that we do. And when I do stupid things, I will flat out tell them, I'm like, yeah, that was a really stupid move by me. Like, I should not have trusted that person. And they look at me like, oh, you know?
Yep.
And so, in relevance to this connecting the dots of this show that you're doing, Laura, which I think is fantastic, is how do we become wiser? We become wiser by acknowledging ourselves that we are idiots sometimes, and that if we want people to not do the stupid stuff we did, let's not hide it. Let's just be like, yeah,
No,
dude, like that deal was a killer. That deal was
that was dumb.
amazing. If you could replicate that, do that 100 times, please. But I think that this whole like mission you're on to define what is wisdom and how do we push it forward, I think this is how we do it. I think you documenting these stories is a fascinating journey. I think it's going to help people. I think if anyone has any interest in learning how to be an idiot, they can look really clearly. They don't have to look that far into most of our lives, right?
I mean, the stories are there, right?
Oh,
If you want to know how to be an idiot, just listen to the stories. It's kind of
amen.
like that old show, like A Thousand Ways to Die. It's like 1,000 Ways to be an idiot.
Right,
That's the
right, right,
subtitle of my show.
right, right. Seriously, I think it's your subtitle. I think you need to plug that in somehow. It'll work. But
Lessons
life
on being
life is so
stupid.
interesting. And honestly, like again, I hate to get super reflective, but like this year turning 50, it was like, oh my gosh, I got 4 kids out of the house. I've got 3 left. I've got a business that I had so many blessings during the previous 20 years of my life, and now all of a sudden, like I feel like I can't do anything, and like I'm hitting brick
Yeah.
walls all over the place. What lesson am I not learning, right? And then you got these kids asking questions of like, well, should I take this opportunity or should I not? And it's like, go for it. And they're like, well, yeah, I see you making opportunities and it's not panning out, Dad. And it's like, you know, and they're right.
Come on.
And I'm like, yeah, you're right. But you know what always works out is that when you learn the lesson and don't just look in the mirror and say, boy, I'm an idiot. And you say, okay, what parts of that experience am I an idiot for? I landed a big
Yeah.
contract. I did a lot of really good work. They chose not to pay me. And am I an idiot for that? Probably not as big as I made myself out to be. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so that's where we got to take lessons out of things that why do bad things happen to good people? Because God gave us the gift of choice, and a lot of people choose to be jerks.
Life. Right. Yes.
So let's not base our decision making or our positions that we're in based off of our own decisions only, because everyone's got the ability to choose how they treat us, how they deal with us, how they accept our goodness and our badness, how they respond to us when we're stupid. It makes a big part of what our end results are.
I love
Right?
that. Yeah. I
So
think you're right.
there's my wisdom, Laura. I mean, I don't know what else. I
Lots
can't
of
get
wisdom.
too much deeper without getting emotional.
I know. Lots of wisdom though. Todd, thank you so much. I love having these shows because I always feel wiser. And when I feel uplifted after a conversation, I know we've done it right. Because if I can feel uplifted here with monitors and lights and, being blinded and wearing all this like silly makeup with if I in these ridiculous shoes, if I
no.
can feel uplifted, then so will the people who are choosing to listen to this show because they want to feel uplifted. And so thank you for participating in this with me today.
Listen, you're elevating everyone around you by the show, and let's not pretend it's not a fact, but those shoes and that sparkly getup you're in, I mean, how can you not feel uplifted by that?
That's the point. That's the point. Well, Todd, I want to let you shamelessly plug yourself before we go, and then we'll call it a day. But Can you tell us, if people are listening to you and they're like, that guy is really cool, whatever it is that he's doing, I want to be a part of that because I'm going to learn how to not be an idiot just like him. Where can they find you today? How accessible are you?
I'm almost everywhere at Todd Westra. So if you just remember, I'm a double D Todd. I mean, that's different. Single D Todds are a little different, but double D Todd Westra. And you can find me anywhere. I live a lot on LinkedIn, but I'm growing more on X. I feel like X is a much simpler environment to find a way to influence people and impact people. And I got a YouTube channel. I've done over 550 CEO interviews, and now I'm starting to kind of impart my wisdom differently than just interview style, and it's been very fun. It's been very rewarding. So go to toddwestra.com. You'll find all my links of whatever I'm up to. And yeah, it's life is a beautiful thing. Don't let the crappy stuff that happens to you define who you are.
I love it. I love it. Words of wisdom from Todd Westra today. Thank you so much, Todd. I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Okay?
We'll see you later.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in to the I Am Wiser podcast, where each episode brings us closer to a wiser, more human approach to healthcare. If today's conversation inspired you or sparked new ideas, share it with someone who's ready to rethink healthcare. And if you have a story or innovation that could light the way for others, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. This space is yours too. Don't forget to follow, rate, and review us on your favorite platform. Until next time, stay curious, stay courageous, and stay wiser.